skip this shipment, and then you're done. So the things that cost, maybe the larger item costs that you're going to buy, go check on Amazon. Check and see if they're available for this subscribe and save, because it's a killer deal. Skipping the supermarket altogether. Yes?
Can I ask a question about that Amazon?
Yes.
What about the shipping?
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to tell you about that. Okay. I'm Amazon Prime members, their shipping is free on subscribe and save. So if you are an Amazon Prime member in Prime service, you pay a $75 fee once per year. And then every item that you order on Amazon that says Prime next to it, you have free shipping, 2-day shipping too. So it's free 2-day shipping on any Amazon Prime item. And we use it from, Amazon has a whole bunch of different content that's available in their Prime services. Everything from media services, you can go in there and watch live streaming events or recorded TV and that sort of thing. We lived without cable for more than 4 years and don't miss it. Cable television, so that was $100 a month that we no longer spend. Another great budgeting alternative, not necessarily food related, but since we're here. Going without cable is something that you can and could very well do without a lot of pain and suffering. Amazon Prime offers streaming content for your media so you don't miss your shows. And
For $75 a year.
for $75 a year. Yes.
I was going to add, you have an Amazon Mom account and
Yes.
Amazon student account for like $40.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Yeah. So if you can also go to, there's an Amazon Mom or Family, I believe, and then there's also an Amazon student account that's a discount. And I'm not really sure what credentials you would have to prove, but definitely take advantage, take a look at it, because most of my groceries come to me in the mail or on my front door. So skipping the supermarket and shopping with intention. You can kind of see my yoga teacher showing right here. This farm, this egg co-op has changed names. They're now called Farm Kids Fresh Eggs. They just recently went through a change before I snagged that picture of them. And that's actually a shout out to one of our members here, Emily Brooks, who's not here tonight. She and her family, they sell these eggs at the Collin County Farmers Market. No, Plano.
No, Collin County,
yeah. So I know that I get my eggs directly from her. I either bring her a 20 and I get 4 dozen eggs every week or every couple of weeks, depending on our need. Or I will go onto my wellsfargo.com and send her a direct payment through that, which is also free for both she and I. And I go by and pick up my eggs at her house. So there's not a whole lot of expectation for us to need to go to the grocery store for those types of staples that you run out of and that you do need to get regularly. Buying in bulk, again, keep a bulk log. It has happened to me, it will happen to you. You think, I need this, this, and this, and this, and then all of a sudden it's in the back of your freezer. And then also defrost your freezer every now and then. Mine really needs it. And on your pantry doors too. I mean, I store a lot of my bulk items in airtight containers, and unless I've really meticulously labeled them, I've stuck another bag on top of it, and then I might not know exactly what's in there. Before you go and buy in bulk, make sure that it's something that your family can use. Make sure that it's something that you don't already have, and make sure that it's something that you're going to realistically store. Because if you buy a 5-gallon bucket of dried beans, your husband might hate you. No, I'm kidding. I don't know where I would store that. Personally, I don't have room. And I really don't want to put it in my garage. We don't have basements here. I would
Under the bed.
What?
Under the bed.
Under the bed. See, I'm going to put beans under the bed now. So they're store and buy in bulk. My point here in regards to your finances is not necessarily should you buy in bulk. Yes, it is cheaper, but buy what you will use. If your family doesn't typically eat brown rice or quinoa or beans or whatever it might be, don't buy 5 pounds of it. I mean, don't just, buy something, try it out, decide that you actually like it. Even if you had to pay a couple of dollars more or cents more, then just, use your better judgment. Okay. Equipment. I'm going to touch briefly on these things because these are big ticket items, and it's important for a lot of us to embark on such a purchase. But if you don't have that in your means, then you can use what you got. That's my freezer, and that's my deep freezer. I have a side-by-side refrigerator that's like that big for the freezer. I mean, it's tiny. So I had to buy a deep freezer. That is after we bought the cow, and those are jars of things that I fermented and canned and that sort of thing. Tomatoes that I bought in bulk from the farmer's market one time when they had a lot of tomatoes, and I was able to score on tomatoes. So the dehydrator, that's the Excalibur dehydrator. This is about a $250 item when you buy it with 9 trays. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world because it does allow you to take food that would normally go in the trash or in the compost pile in converting it into something that you will actually use. So the fruit is a huge thing. I found that I like dried bananas better than I like fresh bananas, and I can eat an awful lot of bananas in a short period of time if I don't watch myself because they've been dried and they're really, really good. And they're also not filled with preservatives and sweeteners because when you go to the grocery store and you buy even the organic little itty bitty package that's like an 8-ounce package of the dried bananas, it's about $3.29. I priced it today, and that little bitty package is probably the equivalent total of 3 dried bananas, and you're paying $3.29 for it. So the cost of the dehydrator, yes, it's a larger item, but ask for it for Christmas or go in with a friend. I'm not dehydrating something regularly. So, the last time I dehydrated something, I actually used my friend's before I bought my own. Mine actually died on me, not the Excalibur. It was a cheaper model, which brings me to another point. I bought a cheaper model. It died. I think I bought it on Craigslist for $25, and I really shouldn't have spent that money. I should have just gone directly to buy the one that I knew would be a better deal. The crock pot is, I think that's everybody's best friend, right? I mean, don't use Campbell's soups. Oh, sorry. Don't use canned soups that are filled with MSG. Those ones that have the red label. There we go. So, the things that you can do with the crock pot are sort of just, they go on, they're never ending. I use mine all the time. Cast iron cookware. Everybody loves their stuff that they got for their wedding registry that costs a lot of money that came from Williams-Sonoma. And I did that too. And it hangs from a pot rack and looks really pretty. But I use my cast iron for everything. Everything. It's seasoned to the point that my kids will get it and their kids will get it. I mean, it's wonderful stuff. You really can't do much to it unless you put soap on it. And it was one of the best things that I ever got as a present. My mom gave it to me, and she's here, so thanks, Mom. Yay. I have a Dutch oven. I have a smaller dish that has a lid, and I have a frying pan that doesn't have a lid. And all of them get used all of the time. They go from the stove to the oven, and they were pricey, but they were so worth it because of the health benefits that you get from having the cast iron versus having the aluminum cookware. And we can talk more about that in a different talk. And glass containers, not your Ziploc, not brands, they're going to sue me. Not the plastic containers that have the lids. Know those that snap on? Not those. Those have, even if you buy the ones that say that they're BPA free, go with the glass. Go with glass storage options. They're a little bit more expensive. In the long run, your health is going to thank you for it. You can take your glass containers and you can heat them in your oven or in your convection oven, your countertop convection oven, because I know nobody in here has and uses a microwave, right? So you can take the top right off of the glass container, stick it right in the convection oven and pop it on, and it's kind of the same thing as using a microwave, just you get a lot more benefits from it. So planning, prepping, preserving with quality, reliable tools that are well worth the additional effort cost. And I did not buy all of these things in 1 month or 1 quarter or even 1 year. They came to me over the course of a lot of time. I think my freezer is probably about 10 years old now. I've had a couple of different crock pots, and I keep adding crock pots to my collection because I need them. I mean, I like to have a large one, I like to have a medium one, I like to have a small one. So they come over time. So making meals that multitask. Let's take one whole organic free-range chicken fryer from Trader Joe's. Because right now, we're not going to pretend that we bought it in bulk because, you know, you had to pick something up tonight. So you needed a chicken. You can roast it. You can rotisserie it in your convection oven if that's the tool that you have. You can stick it in the crock pot. Yesterday, I took a frozen chicken that was really, really ugly, and I took it out of its packaging, and I stuck it in my crock pot, and I sprinkled some pepper and some sea salt on it, turned the crock pot on low. We went about our day, and then late at night after football practice, we came home and had crock pot chicken. It's really, really good. And the chicken was frozen and ugly when I started, and it was fine when we ate it. Using the leftover meat that you had from that dinner. My family of 4, and often my mom is with us for dinner. So for a family of 4 to 5, we can all eat the chicken that we want in this 4 to 5 pound fryer and have leftover meat. It might be just a little bit, but it is leftover. Use your bones and the chicken feet. Okay, so if you're buying it from the grocery store, you've probably never seen the chicken feet unless they accidentally goofed up and stuck one in there. If you're buying it from the farmer, then take the feet, take the bones. Don't let anybody throw their chicken bones in the trash, and if they do, go find them. Rinse them off and stuff. And stick them back into the crock pot that you just used, and then fill the crock pot up all the way to the top with water and turn it on low and go to bed. We make probably 2 to 3 gallons per week of broth because as soon as I get up in the morning, I fill up, it evaporates by a couple of inches, and so I fill it back up again, and then I strain it, and then I take that broth and I fill it back up again, and it keeps going. I use the same bones for about 4 days. And so that one chicken that cost $12 has now generated at least a gallon of broth and fed our family twice. I use that soup. I use that for soup. I freeze it. I freeze it in small glass containers or small glass jars and keep it for things like if I'm going to make a rice. Anytime I might use, and this is for cooking, not for soaking. Don't soak your rice in broth, but anytime I'm going to go cook it, then I use the broth instead. And the health benefits to that, I can speak just a little bit before I go on. The broth has gelatin inside in it because we've essentially liquefied down into the bones, and that is one of the #1 gut healing those gut healing foods that you can eat. So you've all heard about chicken soup for the cold. There's a reason why that started, and having chicken broth or beef broth or whatever bone that you have cooked the gelatin out of and then consumed is one of the best things that you can do for your overall immunity. The gizzards of the chicken are good for stuff. There's a lot of things that are in that yellow Weston A Price Sally Fallon book that when you get into it and you see what you can make out of the parts of the chicken that all of us would normally just reserve for Thanksgiving, they have a lot of benefits. I'll let them
Hide them in the meatloaf. Your kids and your husband will never know. Trust me, they haven't. No,
Yeah, they've never
meatballs and meatballs, the marrow and meatballs.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great stuff. Okay, so if we take a look at this from a cost analysis, we just fed a family of 4 to 5 people at least 5 different meals for about $2.40 per meal. That's 4 to 5 people for $2.40 total. 48 cents per person. I use the broth also in leftover skin that nobody's eaten and probably won't eat. I use that for dog food a lot. My dogs they're high maintenance dogs, and so feeding them raw is something that I use the leftover scraps for.
I'm curious, because you're saying $12 for the chicken, and you're doing 48 cents per person.
How did I get there?
What about vegetables?
Well, and that's a really good point. I'm not adding those kinds of costs back in. I'm taking just the chicken right now. But sure, absolutely, we can go in and manipulate that to get down to adding the ingredients for the soups. And a lot of the time, I'll throw in just some cut up carrots and whatever vegetables I happen to have on hand that I'm not using for anything else, and just throw it in the crock pot, and whatever's in there is in there. If there's leftover meat, great. It's just whatever happens to be available. So usually I don't supplement too much.
I can actually add to that. On average, for a week's worth of food for a family of 4, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, on average, mine adds to be $2.38 per meal per person. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our snacks that we have too. So I mean, that's significantly cheaper than spending $6 when you go to McDonald's or something like that. Okay, so it's around $2.38 per meal.
Per meal.
And chicken does go a long way.
Chicken goes a long way.
I would say if you're using a chicken that way, it would cut that in half. If you're using it the way that she has there.
Okay, so fun with fermentation. Okay, it's one of my favorite things. Hey, honey, what's in that one? So, anybody want to take a guess what that one is? Sourdough starter.
Everybody knows what this one is. Come on.
Kombucha, yeah. That's not my cost. That's what it costs to buy 1 bottle at the grocery store. So, those are the cheaper ones. So, 1 bottle of 16-ounce kombucha is about anywhere, depending on the sales and that sort of thing, $2 to $4. So,
Your markup is $2.70.
yes, yeah, and I can show you the breakdown on what it costs me to make kombucha, and we're getting to that one. Sauerkraut. Ketchup, yay! That's not my cost. That's the cost of buying a large conventional ketchup that has high fructose corn syrup in it. $5.22 is how much the big one costs, and you can make it for far less than that. And it obviously has significantly more benefits to it. Anybody?
Yogurt cheese? Birds away.
Yeah, milk kefir, but yes, yeah, birds away. Yep. Yogurt. to. And that's just one pint of store-bought yogurt. Our cost for making that same item is greatly reduced, as you'll see in a second. Okay, I went and shopped. I went to the grocery store earlier today, and I compared prices currently. So sandwich bread, and this is for your bread that you would buy in the health food section that's refrigerated and sprouted. Okay, so I'm not talking about Mrs. Bread. Not saying brands anymore. You'll need to watch me on that. Not the stuff that you would buy in the conventional bread aisle. Okay, so this is the stuff that you would buy in the health food section. So it was $4.69 a loaf. I estimated my cost with flour down to 83 cents per loaf. And that's when I buy the flour from the Amazon Subscribe and Save, and I'm using 2 cups of flour to make actually 2 loaves of bread. Yes, there are some other ingredients. No, I didn't have time to break all of those things down, but when you go into the cost of a loaf of bread, it ends up working out to being about 83 cents. And we can check these and tweak them when we have some feedback. Yogurt. The yogurt that I priced was $3.77 a pint. I estimated this number of 88 cents based on a $7 gallon of raw milk. I made last week in my crock pot, and I used my crock pot for an entire gallon of raw milk yogurt and just wrapped it up in towels and stuck it in a cooler, and that's about what it came out to be. When you price out the per pint comparison based on a $7 gallon of raw milk. Crackers and chips, if we buy $3.79 per box, if we make them using 1.5 cups of flour that you've purchased, it works out to be 65 cents. And yes, you can make crackers and chips. You can soak them, and we can tell you how. Pancakes and waffles, same thing. If this particular box of mix was in the health food section, it was not in the conventional food section. I worked that out based on the cost of my flour and using 4 cups of flour and adding some estimates for other ingredients. Jerky, I worked this out based on a $7 cut of meat, organic grass-fed meat that I purchased from the butcher, or from the farmer. Worked out to 70 cents when you cut it thinly and then dehydrate in your dehydrator. Even if you have to borrow one, it's okay. Fruit leather, same thing. When you buy the fruit strips that are in the organic section, then they come with 8 in a package of them for $4. And when you buy the fruits that are organic or you've sourced them, then they work out to be about 44 cents for the same 8 strips. Kombucha, I actually used resources from Dr. Christie here, estimating at $2.99 a jar, and my cost with sugar and tea worked out to 9 cents. So, huge.
You get the cultures from us for free. We
Yeah.
create a lot of them.
And I have a bunch. I have a bunch too, yes. Anybody who wants to come to me about it. I picked coconut butter because I wanted something that was an item that you would normally think, ooh, I get all the rest, but how do I make the coconut butter? What do I do with that? Well, there's a lot of tutorials on the internet, but you can buy shredded coconut and stick it in your blender or your Cuisinart and whir it until it develops into butter. And so I priced this based on a bag of organic, up to our quality standards, shredded, unsweetened coconut, and that's how I came up with the $3.69. Okay, so you can see here that the same items, store bought, $43.98 versus homemade at $8.89. So growing. Is that not the greatest house ever? I mean, check this out. They've got solar panels. This garden is twice the length of this room. They've got 7 chickens. I stayed in this house for a week while they were out of town. I was house sitting them, And we were in Denver, and so it was kind of like a swap, but they didn't come and stay with us. And I love these people. I'm going to make them come down and visit us because he actually has a foundation. They're former Peace Corps people. I mean, they're just completely great. So they've got this garden. Their initial investment was $350 because they have a programmed irrigation system. Their soil, their seeds and seedlings, and they have to date this summer harvested over the estimated 300 pounds of produce out of their garden. So it works out at a cost per pound of $1 to $1.50. Yeah. Now, these people live in Denver, Colorado. I'm going to have them come down and teach us how to grow things here because all I can grow is okra and peppers. And I can grow lots of okra. Anybody wants any? They're like this long too, right? So if you can't do this, then look at the opportunity of having a salad garden. So there's a lot of different available options for building small container garden boxes where you can grow on a much smaller scale, much more affordably, both in money and in time. And if you can't do that, do an herb garden. And you could probably grow an herb garden in your cubicle, in your office. They're so easy. I mean, they really are that easy. And Texas weather doesn't tend to kill them quite as badly. And I'm not very good at growing anything, and I can do that. If you can't garden, then buy from a CSA or a co-op. Co-ops can be, we have a lot of resources for your co-op alternatives. The farm to delivery services, I'm speaking again about the Greenling company. I don't have any affiliation to them, but I really do find a lot of value in having their service. $35 a week to have your fresh produce delivered to you is a great thing. And then going and shopping at farmers markets, checking out what the farmer has that's available in bulk. Like the time that I scored all the tomatoes, he was about to throw them all away, and it was like probably around, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I happened to get up there at that time, and he was like, yeah, nobody bought these, and I can't sell them next week, I don't know what to do with them, and he was like, I will take them. So, same thing with bananas. Whole Foods will give you bananas. Did you know that? So if you're there on a day when they're changing out their inventory, and they're taking all of the bananas that are starting to get really mushy, and you go up to the produce manager and say, what are you going to do with those? And he's going to say, I'm going to toss them. You can have them. Like, I've done it. And so has Emily. She and I both, between the two of us, we've scored bags of bananas before. And you know, when you have something like that, take advantage of it from a budgeting perspective. And then if all of those things are not available to you and you still don't want to eat conventional produce, then learn the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. I didn't bother to put the actual list up here, but if you go on the internet, you'll find it. Those types of produce, I would implore you to find out what is going to be most local and what is going to be the most seasonal, and you'll find your budget deals and your health deals there. So the produce that's local and the produce that is currently in season is where you're going to find your biggest financial gains. And then also health-wise, that's the way we're supposed to eat, so do that. Okay, sharing. Kombucha scobies, water and milk kefir grains, sourdough starter, and whey. I've got loads of it. Anybody want some? Okay. Homegrown vegetables, again with the okra. Oh my goodness, it's kind of out of control. You don't really want any of what I have because they're not okay. But when I had all this okra, I mean, we had baskets of it, and I was giving it to people. I've lacto-fermented lots and lots of okra. It's really good, lacto-fermented. And then, let's see, equipment. Borrowing friends' equipment, if you don't have a dehydrator and you want to try, somebody's out and you don't know if you want to spend the money on it, there's a lot of different options. Go borrow it. I have a great Cuisinart stand mixer. Anybody's welcome to borrow it. I don't think you can kill it. And knowledge. This group right here is about sharing knowledge. And I don't know everything, and I would be blessed to come and learn some information from you guys. That's a cucumber that I picked from the garden at my friend's house in Colorado. There's a Vitamix, which I really want. Mom? Okay, convenience foods and snacks, because this is something I hear all the time. Okay, so these items, one box of the first item is $7.50. There's our dinner that we used to have a long time ago in the microwave. And there's your $18 pizza. So what happens when everybody's hungry and it's time to eat? These items I feel okay about sharing over here. I buy these brands. I actually don't buy Clair bars anymore because of some GMO issues that I've heard about. So I make them. And the reason I used coconut butter as an example is because I was just about to make a batch of Clair bars because I've got a bunch of dates and I need to make them. And coconut butter and dates are two of the main ingredients in most of your Clair bars. So they're really easy to make, and they're considerably cheaper than the $1.29 that you're going to pay for one bar. Okay. And then I picked this slide because I was looking at I was picking up gluten-free snacks for an image on Google Images, and I found this image, and I thought, what is that? They're touting this as gluten-free now? Let's just set aside the budget thing and look at that for a second. So when we're looking at these items, all of them are going to cost upwards of several dollars a piece. And potato chips are a great example of using your dehydrator. You know, take one sweet potato and you can make what comes in this very bag that's filled with air. I mean, these are great chips, and we absolutely buy them. And I like this brand, this Boulder brand, a lot. They're really good. But I can make the same thing in the dehydrator using one potato. Just, I mean, what comes in that bag, I can use, it's one potato. So a $3 bag of chips, or the cost of one potato. Okay? Overpriced junk food is still overpriced junk food, even with the something such a free label. Okay? So when you go to Whole Foods and you're looking at the gluten-free stuff, or you're looking at the nut-free or the soy-free or whatever it is that's free that you're looking at, it still costs money. It's not free. So if you're having trouble with what to make in regards to snacks and convenience foods, the internet is a great resource, but we would rather you come and talk to us about it first, because really you can make so many of these items and they're not scary. I thought when I first looked at the Clair bars, I thought, how do you make this? What do you do in order to produce this particular good? And when you read on the back of some convenience-related food item, and it says guar gum, I don't know how to make that. I don't. So, I mean, I'm not going to put it in something that, and I'm referring to gluten-free. My family's not gluten-free. We do have gluten in our diets. But I don't know how to make guar gum, and I don't know where I would even source it. So if I'm going to make something, I'm going to make it with real food. And so just because you see it at the health food store, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily healthy and something that you would want to put in your body or real food. And chances are it's significantly overpriced than what you can do at home, and we can teach you how to do that. Okay, what else is in the bag? Other consumables that add up. What is that one? Okay, what do you buy at the grocery store? Toilet paper, paper towels? I mean, you go to the grocery store and those items are certainly available. I've looked at this, I actually found something in my research for this very talk. I found it a while ago, and then I found it again. There are alternatives. Of course, you can buy chlorine-free toilet paper. And in America, we go through 34 million rolls of toilet paper a day. And they're fluoridated. And even if you buy it unchlorinated, then you're going to have the cost detriment to buying them. I found a seat that's a bidet seat that I'm actually considering looking at buying, that is an alternative to some of these paper goods. It's laundry detergent. I make my own. You guys can too. It's absolutely easy. And I can tell you from personal experience that the dry laundry detergent is significantly easier to make than the liquid laundry detergent. It really takes, you can take your Cuisinart food processor and take a bar of the Dr. Bronner's soap and shred it through the food processor, and then you can mix your other ingredients, and there you've got your laundry detergent. Dish soap, again, one of my favorite products we're going to see in just a second. Cleaning products, toiletries and beauty products. People ask me about what I use for conditioner, or what I use for toothpaste, or what I use for makeup remover, or things like that. And the answer on all of those is coconut oil. Same thing with deodorant. Coconut oil is probably one of the most versatile things that you can buy for your bathroom, and it eliminates the need for your makeup remover, your sunscreen in many cases, your deodorant, all of those things that I just mentioned. And you take your jar of coconut oil and a spoon, and there you have it. Use it as a lotion as well. It's one of the most versatile things, and then it eliminates the cost of a $5 bottle of lotion and a $3 tube of deodorant, and on and on and on. Yes?
Do you get your coconut oil online?
Yes. Okay. I do the Amazon subscribe.
Okay.
Coconut oil has an SPF 8 naturally.
Yes, naturally it has an SPF 8. And so, we were at the beach last week, and although, yes, I did get burned and I'm currently healing, I was not using coconut oil. And the only reason that I'm not significantly more burned is because throughout my last, probably consistently about the last quarter, I've been taking my fermented cod liver oil every single day. And I use coconut oil in my diet, and I use grass-fed butter in my diet. And the sunburn that I actually did receive, because I completely missed the lower part of my back, didn't develop into that skin rash. I mean, look, I'm not naturally a tan person, so the sun does not like me. And every single time I've ever been burned significantly when I wasn't doing the coconut oil in my diet, the grass-fed butter in my diet, and the fermented cod liver oil every day, it's blistered to the point where I had a rash, and it was awful. I mean, if you've ever had skin allergy type things, it's that, but to the sun. So, and the coconut oil eliminated that from happening, and the fermented cod liver oil.
You mentioned using coconut oil as a shampoo.
Conditioner. Conditioner.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, a conditioner. And I use it as a deep conditioner. So daily, I'll wash my hair with only shampoo, and I'll use the coconut oil like maybe once a week as a deep conditioner. And what you can do is take dirty hair and take a glob of it and work it into the dirty hair. my hair comes down to here. And it takes just, I mean, it's just, you know, a tablespoonish or so. And work it in, take your hair, wrap it in a bun, and then go do stuff. And then several hours later, wash your hair again, and then it, I mean, I don't know when I got my hair cut the last time. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, a year ago, maybe, more. I wish I would have worn my hair down. But yeah, it's a great conditioner and body lotion on a regular basis. And use it to replace Neosporin. Anytime that we have a cut or a boo-boo or whatever, I'll go and stick coconut oil on it, and not only does it heal it faster because it's antiviral, or it's antimicrobial, antibacterial, and antiviral, it also has a soothing effect. And so it's kind of like that Neosporin pain reliever stuff. I said a brand, please don't hate me, Neosporin. So it actually does help soothe the skin. I use the organic and refined. Organic and refined. There's recipes that you can make for deodorant using essential oils. Yep.
You can just rub it on.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it kills the bacteria. Causes the smell.
Yep. It's great stuff. Great stuff. And if you want something that's more of a traditional roll-on, then keep it in the freezer, because at room temperature, I mean, really, it will liquefy, and then all your deodorant's going to be on the counter, and that's not good. So just go keep it in the freezer, and then take just a little bit out. And you know, using water bottles or cans, you know, those are the cost effectiveness of using your own water bottle. You know, the Camelback that you might purchase for $8 will be infinitely paid for when you stop using the little 16-ounce or 12-ounce water bottles. And obviously, it's a lot better for our environment. Same thing with cans. Making the kombucha, I'm a huge believer in carrying around a glass jar of kombucha. In fact, I have a really funny story. I like a couple of minutes. So we were driving on this road, and we were actually coming to the chiropractor's office, and I pulled over, and I made my son get out of the car, and I was like, "There's air leaking from one of the tires. Do you hear it?" And he was like, "Sss," you know that sound? And it was my kombucha. And we stopped right here along Coy, and I was like, "Get out, look at all the tires." And we get back in the car, and I'm like, "Oh, there was." So, your plastic zipped style storage bags are a huge money pit. If you're going to use them, which I have them, and I do still use them, and there's sometimes when you just really need one. iPhones don't like water. If you're going to go to the beach or the pool or whatever, stick your iPhone in one. I mean, really, don't buy the $8 little case that they have that protects the iPhone from water. Just stick it in one of those bags and you're good. You can take pictures underwater with it like that too. So, but as an alternative to those, they make a lot of reusable bags, a lot of different reusable bags. And if you are a seamstress and you're remotely talented in this area, I can give you a lot of business because I would love to have some, and I am absolutely not a seamstress. And then avoid the disposable dishes and cutlery. Environmentally speaking, they're not good. And then obviously, from a budget standpoint, they're, you know, use your stoneware, use your stuff that's good. And then supplements. And just briefly, the main supplements that I take are just directly from the practice. I buy my fermented cod liver oil from them. I buy it in capsules now. I used to buy it because I was cheaper. I used to buy it in the gel form, and I just can't do it. I'm sure that a lot of you are braver than I am, and the cinnamon tingle one, it's okay. I can't do it though. I just can't. I have to do the capsules. So that's really the bulk of my supplement expense. And if I need something additional, like if it's coming up on cold and flu season, then yes, I'm going to pop for the elderberry syrup. And those things are, you know, and if my kids typically, they find the elderberry syrup kind of offensive, and so I'll put some honey with it, and then they will drink it. And it's an easy thing. One of my product things, one of my favorite products is Dr. Bronner's soap. You can use that stuff for everything. I use it as dish soap. I use it for body wash. I use it for to make the laundry detergent that I make. And the large Dr. Bronner's, the biggest one that you can get is about $13 at Sprouts, I guess. But it's absolutely worth it. I have one in the kitchen, I have one in the bathroom, and then I buy the bars of soap as well. So I don't know of another product that's a more money-saving product out there. It's replaced my dish soap. It's replaced the expensive body wash, and it's really, really great. I don't know if you guys...
It's very gentle for face.
Yeah.
So like lots of face washes are very expensive, but that is incredibly gentle. It's what I've used for years.
Are the bar soaps from bars available at Whole Foods?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trader Joe's has
Trader Joe's has them too.
the big bottle for $10 in the bar.
That's great. There are other products that are similar that will be in the area with it. I haven't ever found anything that compares. I love Dr. Bronner's stuff, and it smells awesome. This is an image of those resealable bags, and really, if you are a seamstress, apparently they look very easy to make. I have no idea how to work a sewing machine, which is something that I would like to learn. If anybody knows how, I would like to teach someone. But those are those reusable items. Use that just like you would your reusable grocery bags. And then obviously there's our supplements. So there we are. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and I can tell you that my personal journey has come, you know, varying different paths, and I'm happy to share any knowledge, and I'm happy to receive any knowledge. So you guys, please let me share my resources just a little bit. Nourishing Traditions, of course. There's some blog resources that I pulled when I was preparing this particular discussion, and also some that I refer to on a regular basis. And then my special thanks. And